This is Hannibal here from the Hannibal TV on YouTube. AEW held a pay per view tonight, and the thing that really stood out to me is the big show. Paul White appeared. He's still under contract, and I'm going to go into his contract in a bit because I believe this is the best contract in the history of wrestling. Now, this is the side facing the hard camera, by the way. It looks like there's not really anyone in the upper levels for their pay-per-view show here. The other side would be the side that they're shooting from, so I mean that's a pretty good crowd for AEW for their big pay-per-view tonight. But let's just look into this contract of the big shows here. Supposedly he makes at least 850,000 annually with pay-per-view bonuses. So this pay-per-view appearance tonight, that would be a bonus for him. He was hired as a ring performer, but he did mostly commentary on AEW Dark and Elevation. No pay adjustments have been updated as of this month. He's been quoted saying, quote, Tony Khan, quote, paid me a shit ton of money, end quote, to wrestle. But he's only had 7 matches. So since 2021, he's made 850,000 a year minimum and had 7 matches. That's insane. And most of those matches have been short squash matches or team matches where he hasn't had to do much. Is the Big Show even a draw at this point whatsoever? I don't know. I don't know. That's just a bizarre one. I don't know. By the way, Ricochet won the controversial national title on this show. It's controversial because I guess NWA at one point was mad that they were having a national title, not like the NWA national title is over at this point. Let's face the facts here. The NWA of today that Billy Corgan runs, other than I guess Billy Corgan officially owning it, it's not over at all. Nobody gives a damn about it. So it's a company that exists, but you can't tell me, other than it being called the NWA title, that it has any of the prestige that it did back when Ric Flair held it or Lou Thesz or any of those guys. But there was some controversy over that because I guess AEW itself has 9 active championships now, and Ring of Honor, which is part of AEW, has 7. So that's a lot of titles. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think of the Big Show. I forgot he was under contract. He literally does nothing, and at this point of his career, does anyone even care about the Big Show? Honestly, to me, the Big Show was the best when he had those matches in WCW with Hogan. Other than that, he's just been around because he's a giant. I mean, I remember at one point they were having him impersonate people. That was kind of amusing, but he's run his course. But good for you for making money. Everyone in there, you have to give it to Tony Khan. He gives people a lot of money. It'll be interesting though, because Warner Brothers Discovery, the company that AEW is on, Warner Brothers Discovery channels right now, they lost 11.5 billion last year, and they are looking at selling right now. Some of the companies looking at selling is Paramount, which is affiliated with WWE, Netflix, which is affiliated with WWE, and NBC, which is affiliated with WWE. So it'd be interesting to see what would happen if a WWE affiliated company ended up owning the station that currently runs AEW. Would they keep them on? Would they cancel the shows? Because let's face the facts, the ratings are really bad for AEW lately. They've done 0.6s, 0.7s for Dynamite. I hope things turn around. But I think that's the most interesting thing in wrestling right now. Is a WWE affiliated company going to take over WBD, and what will happen to AEW? I wonder if they still have to pay them out the remainder of the TV contract. Are ratings good for anyone? I think, well, SmackDown last week did a 0.28 rating. They considered that good. The thing is, a huge percentage of the money from both WWE and AEW comes from television money and streaming money. And it's good right now because TV isn't dead yet. So they're actually paying, they're overpaying for content right now. And there's competition with AEW and streaming to acquire shows. At some point, TV I think is just gonna die. And these bidding wars for content are not gonna be around as much anymore. But yes, as much as people say ratings aren't valuable anymore, a huge source of money, for instance, AEW gets like $123 million a year for their show on TBS and TNT. That's 123 million. So if the ratings continue to drop to these abysmal levels, or it's bought by a company affiliated with WWE and they lose that, that's a huge amount of money that they'd lose every year. And take into consideration this: Dynamite loses most weeks to NXT, and NXT only gets like 26 million a year from the CW network. So that's like almost 100 million less for a product that's doing better ratings. So I've said this a lot. I want the products to be better. Someone was talking to me about this today at the gym. What could happen in wrestling to make it more exciting? I think almost you need Vince McMahon to start a company, or there needs to be another company to like mix things up a bit, because it's gotten kind of bland now in both companies. It needs to be shaken up. Sadly, I don't think adding an NWA national title, I don't think adding a national title and having the Big Show appear is going to be enough. They really got to create some interest in AEW to switch things around, because a lot of the wrestlers they have appeal to a certain type of fan. They need to broaden their appeal, in my opinion. Bring in a realistic, real violent type of wrestler like me. That would probably help a little bit, but that's not going to happen for political reasons. But I would like to see both companies do better because it'd be good for me because I am a wrestling reporter. And when AEW first started, there was a lot of interest in wrestling in general, and it was good for the business in general. Is it straight pay or do they get percentages of ad revenue? No, it's straight pay for these deals that both WWE and AEW have. One interesting thing I saw in an interview with Tony Khan this week that was brought up is Tony Khan is the only major combat sports company owner that has no deals in Saudi Arabia. A lot of WWE's money these days also comes from Saudi Arabia. Supposedly they're getting over 100 million for pay-per-views and like 55 million for regular events per show, which is huge. And it's strange that AEW doesn't have any type of deal with Saudi Arabia at this point, because that would be a way to influx their money. But but yeah, there you go. Big Show is still employed, making 850,000 a year to do nothing. That's absolutely incredible.